welcome to the May 9th Tualatin City Council regular council session. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Our first item on the agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance, led tonight by Councilor Hillier.
If you please place your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Excuse me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm so sorry. Holy cow.
No problem. We get out of practice because we're not in grade school anymore. All right. We have two announcements tonight. Our first item is a public health announcement. And since Councilor Councilor Brooks is not here, I'll fill in. The Oregon Health Authority reported on May 4th an increase in COVID cases and disease-related hospitalizations, but the good news is a decrease in COVID-19 related deaths since the last bi-weekly reporting period. As Councilor President Grimes mentioned at the end of work session, COVID-19 continues to be transmitted at very high levels in Oregon. If you're in large groups, sooner or later, you'll be exposed. So please get vaccinated or boosted and wear a mask. Per OHA, if you're vaccinated and boosted, you will be very well protected against a very severe course of COVID, a severe case, I'm sorry.
I want to thank you for taking a few minutes of your time tonight to recognize our police officers. The mission of our department is to provide a safe community and excellence in customer service, and that's something we truly take to heart. In 2021, there were 129 officers killed in the United States, and unfortunately, that number for 2022 is trending to probably exceed that amount. Our officers know it's a very dangerous job. They show up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It doesn't matter if there's a pandemic going on, hazardous smoke conditions from wildfires. They come to work and they take care of our community. That's part of the oath that they've taken. They're always going to be there for our officers. And basically, I'm very proud of them, and I hope you are as well.
Thank you, Chief. I'm going to read the proclamation declaring the week of May 15th through the 21st, 2022 as National Police Week in the city of Tualatin. Whereas it is known that on average, one law officer is killed in the line of duty somewhere in the United States every 54 hours. Since the first known line of duty death in 1791, more than 23,000 U.S. law enforcement officers have made the ultimate sacrifice. And whereas law enforcement officers, including Tualatin police officers, are our guardians of life and property and defenders of the individual rights of freedom. And whereas the city of Tualatin is proud of our law enforcement officers and wish to recognize their commitment to the public safety profession, and whereas the Tualatin Police Department and officers provide the highest quality services and are committed to highest professional standards, working in partnership with our community to meet the challenges of reducing crime, creating a safe environment, and improving the quality of life for all. Now, therefore, introduced and adopted this 9th day of May 2022.
Thank you, Councilor Reyes. as Councilor Reyes just mentioned, I just want to pass on my gratitude also to all the officers in the police department and the non-sworn employees of the Tualatin Police Department. They do a phenomenal job. We hear about it from our constituents all the time, how well respected our police officers are and how helpful they are, be it in a crisis situation or even just, walking down the street or running across them in a park or a Starbucks, how professional they carry themselves and how they are an integral part of our community. So I want to thank you for instilling that into your department.
Thank you very much.
All right. Any other comments for Chief Steele? Councilor Pratt.
Oh, I just, it's always struck me that our police officers are also first responders.
To about 3 minutes. If there's anyone in this Zoom meeting who would like to address the council, this would be the appropriate time. Do we have anyone at the poll center, Megan?
Nobody at the poll center.
Are you aware of anybody in the Zoom meeting? Doesn't look like there's a lot of us here that would like to have public comment.
I am not aware of anybody in the Zoom meeting either.
I'll give folks a few seconds here if they're late coming in. Okay, all right. So now we'll move on to consent. Consent agenda are items considered routine. They'll be adopted by one motion unless someone on the council would like an item removed and heard separately later tonight. Tonight, the consent agenda consists of only one item. Item number 1, consideration of approval of the work session and regular meeting minutes of April 25th, 2022. Would anyone like this item? Councilor Hillier,
Aye.
Councilor Reyes,
Yes.
Council President Grimes,
Aye.
and I vote aye also. It's unanimous. Moving on, special reports. Now we have a special report from Republic Services with their annual report. I believe Lindsay will kick this off. Welcome,
Yes.
Lindsay.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Long time no see. We are here tonight with our team from Republic Services, and they're going to be giving us their annual report, kind of happenings from the last year. And as part of that annual report, they're going to briefly touch on the business food scraps requirement. As some of you might remember, we passed that in 2019. It was supposed to get started in March of 2020. Then March of 2020 happened with COVID. And so the program got pushed out. And so we never ended up, the program didn't start. So we didn't have rates to be included for commercial organics collection over the last 2 years. And so the program is starting back up again this March with implementation for I believe Jason will be kicking us off.
I will, Lindsay. Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, my name is Jason Jordan, and I serve as the General Manager for Republic Services, and I've been serving in this role for the last 7 years. And, along with my duties supporting the operations in Tualatin, I have responsibilities in a similar capacity from the Washington-Oregon border down through Marion County. And so on behalf of our local team that's here tonight and many others that support the city through our operations, I wanted to thank you, but most importantly, not only the council and staff, but the community of Tualatin just for the partnership that we've had through the many years. And then also I would like to take a moment to thank your staff and just comment on just how great your staff is to work with. In my position, I work with literally dozens of cities in this type of role. And I've been able to see at Tualatin staff some of the most professional, just knowledgeable, and positive staff to work with. And so just a kudos to the group there that's been put together. Our team is, which many of you know, will also be in themselves and to continue to progress in the field of recycling and garbage services. And so to be clear, this is primarily informational. However, we do have some high-level requests for council direction that helps us go back and work with staff to provide that value for future services. So with that, I will turn the presentation over to KJ and Travis.
Thanks, Jason. Good evening, Council and Mayor. It's so nice to be here and to see you virtually again. Travis, if you can go through the first slides kind of slowly so they have a chance to absorb. These first few slides will show you numbers that are reported out in your annual report, and they're also included in your packets today for reference. They include the number of containers, a breakdown of the different sizes of containers, and the number of hauls. You can also see the volume in tons of MSW versus recycling. Okay. The next couple of slides include some really nice kudos from your residents. Last year, we received 49 complaints from residents, mainly around missed pickups. To 100% of the time, the issue is resolved before your staff or I even turn on our computers in the morning because the operations team starts pretty early. But at the very least, all issues are resolved within 24 hours. At any rate, in addition to resolving issues, we love to receive compliments, and so we share those with our people. Here you can have a peek into one of our training rooms. Our drivers receive continuous training on a weekly basis, and also every morning we have a morning huddle, we call it, amongst managers and supervisors where we report out various parts of the business. The most important part, the one we focus on most intentionally, is safety. Above all, we want to keep our drivers and your constituents safe. Now I'll turn it over to Travis before I speak again.
Good evening, Mayor Bubenik, council, staff, neighbors. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight and to present our 2021 annual report. I'll start by going over our finances for last year. Then I'll highlight the bundled rate that Lindsay mentioned in the beginning for the organics program, highlight expanded residential curbside possibilities, and then finish my section with Metro's regional waste plan. So as you can see in our statement of income, the situation looks very similar to what we had presented to the council last year. While we have seen increases in the price of fuel and other inflationary pressures, we did keep our projections conservative for going forward. This chart we put in there primarily for tipping for disposal. That's 7.1%, and that will take effect on July 1st. That's just 53 days from now. Their plan going forward is to have an annual increase of between 3 and 8%. This is to prevent any sort of like double-digit increases down the road that they're fearing. Metro's preliminary forecast reports that they've just released estimate that this cost will impact Tualatin residents between 49 cents a year to $1.33 a month. Sorry, 49 cents to $1.33 a month. Circling back to the bundled organics that Lindsay mentioned in the beginning, once the city adopted Metro's commercial organics mandate last year, we started working with staff. We came up with the bundled rate structure, and you can see this on page 45 of tonight's agenda. So if you're if you're on that page, you can see the breakout between the roll cart service level and the front load container level. Both the report that your staff is putting together and the resolution for the rates will have it broken out by service level, and it'll show this standard rate, which the normal commercial rate for Tualatin businesses isn't changing. We're just adding a component that allows businesses that would like to participate or to compost their organic material to put that directly in their yard debris container for pickup. Residential organics programs have been proven to reduce overall waste cost and to divert that material from landfills. We have pioneered this service with the city of Lake Oswego. They were the first city in Oregon to adopt a residential organics program, and that was back in May of 2016. More recently, we actually just this last month started the rollout and worked with City of Wilsonville staff to get little compost buckets and to roll that program out there as well. Slide 17, quick update for the council here. We have been working with county and city staff to roll out the standardization mandated materials from Metro. We are simply waiting on that inventory to come in. All 3 counties in the region ordered from the same company, and there's been a little bit of a backlog. So our operations team has put together a rollout plan. As soon as materials will be circulated. Presentation.
Thanks, Trav. Speaking of the Metro presentation that you had a couple of weeks ago, we just wanted to correct a little piece of that presentation on the regional system standards and remind you that we have a recycling depot nearby at our space on Ritter Road. Customers can drop off everything from e-waste to scrap metal to number 6 polystyrene, and customers can drop off those items for free. Sarah just seemed to forget we were there when she was talking about facilities, so I wanted to remind you. This slide is about our battery and bulb buyback program. Republic Services has developed a program that's used throughout the country that can provide customers with prepaid boxes that they fill with batteries or bulbs and mail them in. It's pretty nice because it keeps these hazardous waste out of the garbage, and batteries, as you may know, in particular, can be a problem at the transfer station by causing fires. This program is currently available for business customers, but at the direction of council and staff, we could certainly look at developing a customized residential program for Tualatin if there was interest. You may have heard about a program that's starting in July in Washington County called Recycle Plus. It's a service where the customer can pay a low monthly fee to participate and a little bit more every time they want their is that it's equitable and affordable, and it will be regulated under the franchise. So it will be transparent how much is being collected and where it's going. Of course, we wouldn't have to design such a program exactly like Washington County with the city of Tualatin. We could work with your staff to create a program that's customized to the city, fitting your goals and objectives, should council be interested in us exploring such a program. And now back to Jason to wrap it up.
All right, so KJ, thank you very much. So the last slide as we come to the conclusion of our updates for council is I just wanted to share with everyone a recent change in our leadership team. Some of you had worked with John Oliveras over the last 3 years, who was our operations manager out at the Wilsonville site. John was recently promoted to general manager out in operations. most recently, actually was serving as a general manager for one of our California operations. So what's really nice about Matt coming on board is that he's originally from Oregon and has made that decision to return to his roots in this area. And over the next kind of through this transition is we'll be working on getting Matt acquainted with staff and the customers and the community here. And just very excited to get that support on board for the city and the surrounding communities. So in closing, I will finish how I started in stating that it is a privilege and we're very thankful to work for and support the city of Tualatin. I believe you can see through our annual report and the potential future service options for the community at large that we'll continue this partnership and try to be forward thinking and looking at what ways we can continue to provide value. And so from our drivers, dispatchers, operations support, and many others that support this group, I just want to thank you for your business, and then we are here to answer any questions that council has for us.
Thank you. Questions for the Republic team? Council Pratt.
I was listening you talk about scraps, and I'm like, I throw them into my compost bin, but I guess if you live in an apartment, it's not so simple. So, yeah. Anyway, on these programs, the one with scraps, the battery bulb recycling, and the Recycle Plus, if we were interested, would you come back to us? Because I think the price is the big factor that would be our consideration on that.
Yeah, we could come.
And then I noticed, if I remember correctly, like you take some loads all the way to Corvallis. Is that the food scraps?
Yeah. Yep. The yard debris and the food scraps mixed together goes to a place called PRC outside of Corvallis, where we have a big compost facility. It's actually really cool if you'd ever like to take a tour. And yeah, that's exactly where it goes.
Okay. I was more concerned that the miles you're putting on, but I guess you'll go to electric vehicles someday soon and help with that. Or I was wondering if you'd ever have a facility closer just because of the traveling distance.
It has to do with facilities that do secondary sorting. So PRC goes back through and they remove all of those plastics that are in there and any sort of contaminants. So there's very few facilities that we can actually take the material to at this time, unfortunately. And that kind of bleeds into that, eco waste discussion is like, do we have facilities that can process that kinds of material and stuff?
And they're certified. It's like very high quality compost when they're done sorting all the contaminants out. And so then, it's organic. It's certified by OMSRI. And it's used on local farms, and it's also bagged and then sold to consumers.
And then my last question is kind of a personal one, but in the recycling container, where's the easiest place to find out like what goes in there or not? For example, I'm sure we're all getting a lot of flyers from politicians, and I never throw the shiny paper in there because I'm not sure it's recyclable. So where is the easiest place to find out what can be recycled and what needs to go in the garbage?
Yeah. So, Counselor, that's a perfect question. So that goes back to those materials we're waiting for from the county. So they're redoing all of their stickers, all of their flyers. So currently, the only place you can get that is directly from their website. You can get the PDFs for what the rollout's going to look like, but we still haven't seen the physical product get delivered. All of that paper can go in your roll cart, though.
Even the shiny.
Yeah.
And another resource is Metro has a hotline you can call that I will get the number through staff, and you can keep it in your phone.
Other questions? Councilor Reyes.
Going back on the Recycle Plus, you say you're going to offer these to customers, and as in addition to what we already have, like that recycle bin that's either yellow or blue, or I don't know, different, mine's white. that's where the confusion comes from those who don't speak the language or are not in the English language and are not in the midst of all this, including people who are actually who can understand, read, and the only language is English, don't understand what it means to be a recycle bin and what goes in there. So I think a lot of confusion comes with that. People think that that's the recycle means everything that you want to recycle, including your batteries, light bulbs, and all that stuff.
Exactly, Counselor.
I'm sorry?
I was going to say that's something we've worked with the county on, and so this new all of the new literature will be bilingual, and the garbage stickers will even have 4 languages on the front main sticker. So that's part of our hope with rolling this out. So each resident would get a new sticker on each of their carts and on their tote. So that little yellow tote, and some residents have the blue one. That's where they can put their glass. And as your report shows, with COVID, the glass use definitely went up. But that's also where we do need to make a better effort at explaining they also can put their oil in that bin, and the ways they can truly utilize that service. The tote for the Recycle Plus service would look very similar. It would just have a lid to keep any sort of moisture out of those materials, because unlike the glass, we just can't have any sort of water contaminating those materials.
And what we would do, Counselor, is we would work if there is interest amongst council members for us to discuss, to pursue coming up with
and we would put anything there and everything. So I'm just saying that it was wrong. I didn't understand it back then. But when you own your own house, you're like trying to, when I call in Republic Services and I say, okay, I want your services, I get this bin, and then I'm thinking, oh, this is the recycling bin. So I just put stuff there that I had to get educated to know this is not for everything. It's just the word recycle in our brains. It just we think of like everything that has that little recycle symbol. And so I think that's where the confusion comes, because I had to learn that the hard way. Many years later. So that's where, I don't know, I guess when you sign up, it's got to be clear. This is not for the stuff that it's everything. Not everything goes in that bin. Like,
I think there's a couple of things, like going back to what Travis said, that the stickers will be more clear and in 4 languages. But remember last year, we reported on the legislature passed remarkable legislation called Senate Bill 582, the Recycling Modernization Act. And a big part of that act is to get rid of that confusing labeling. So there was a commission appointed called the Truth in Labeling Commission. Their work is almost about to wrap up before June 1st, I think is their deadline. And they've just made some recommendations, which I'm happy to pass on to you around. Let's not have that little circle, and in Oregon, maybe the plastic manufacturers, they don't want to take off the chasing arrows. So perhaps in Oregon, if it's not recyclable in Oregon, we put the red circle with the line through it for state of Oregon, that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And Counselor, when unfortunately, like with COVID, a lot of our like in-person outreach kind of diminished. But now that that's coming back, we do have the physical New Start packets, and they come with totes and stuff that we'll be giving out, like at Viva Tualatin and National Night Out. So we're going to be trying to roll that stuff out, and that will also be updated in the New Start packet that residents get when the service first starts. So we try to bridge that gap in the multifamily level. So as long as like they keep connecting with us, we try to constantly reach out to property managers, but we keep them stocked with these New Start packets and totes. So anytime a new resident moves into an apartment in Tualatin, they're supposed to get this reusable bag from the county, and it has all of that that material in there in at least 4 languages currently. So the new one I think is even more. But on the garbage page, at minimum for the front is 4. So yeah, we're hopeful. We're hopeful that
I like the
situation
idea
will
of
improve.
what instead of having the circular arrow, then the
Yeah,
cancel one that says not this here, but yeah,
Exactly.
that's a good idea. Well, thank you.
yeah, no, totally. It's very confusing.
Right. Other questions? Look around my Hollywood squares here.
And you guys can always email us questions. It's not like today's the only time you can ask us questions. So you can always reach out to us. So
See no hands. I've got 3. So on the recycling depot, what are the hours and days of operation?
Days of operation, Travis, they're not there on Saturday, are they?
It's Monday through Friday, and technically we would publicly say 8 to 5, but our gate is open earlier than that. But it's 8 to 5 Monday through Friday.
Okay, all right. And then on the bundled organics, for those folks who weren't part of this 2 years ago, who is subject to this new Metro requirement and who's paying this? What kind of businesses?
So it's a 3-tier rollout for Metro. So first, and I should remind you that many businesses in Tualatin already do commercial organics just voluntarily. This is Metro's way of ensuring that more businesses participate in that. And so first, it's very large businesses like grocery stores, Costco, and then sort of medium-sized businesses, restaurants next year. And then outreach will be done. I think school districts are last.
Okay. When I remember, just remind people that, for instance, like Legacy Marine Park is tier 1, the very big employer. And then, as you mentioned, KJ, the restaurants are the next ones up. But a lot of the restaurants already were working with Metro on sorting food and stuff like that before COVID hit. So the follow-up question to that is, they're aware this is coming and that the rate increases are coming for this type of service?
Yeah, the county is doing all of the communication and outreach and education.
All right.
So yeah, we submitted our customer list to the county, and they've already reached out to all of the tier 1 businesses that are going to be required to participate in this. So they've already started that. And I don't know if they've made the city aware, but their conditional approval of whether the businesses are compliant will be conditional upon county staff monitoring and observing their business practices throughout the year. So
and making sure they're doing it correctly.
Yeah, based on setting up the service and getting what they're supposed to be doing. But then county staff will be monitoring that progress as well.
So for restaurants that are opening up here in the future, do they get the training that was rolled out 2 years ago on how to, participate in a program, get the bins, all that good stuff?
Yeah, that'll be a constant process. And until inventory runs out, they're going to be providing a lot of these in business and in restaurant bins for them.
All right. And then my last one is going back to the Recycle Plus. Obviously, I think all of the counselors would be interested in seeing some proposals where, the cost of the program would be less than what Ridwell has to offer, but yet matches. I know you can't match everything they do, but as much as possible, so people have a lower cost option than Ridwell. I think that I think we'd all be happy to hear some alternatives to Ridwell. I mean, Ridwell is operating in the city and they're doing their thing, but a lower cost option, like you were saying, on equity basis alone and financial basis would be a nice option.
Great. We'll be happy to come back with something for you.
Right.
Yeah, Mary, I'd just touch on that one last point there too, which is really important, I think, for the city to understand, is that we wanted to provide all of the different types of options, because I think that is very important, that the city and the communities know that those priorities align with how do we make that equitable, how we provide the intent of it, is to safely divert this material from landfills, but in a responsible manner and in a cost-effective manner. So absolutely, and I think that was why we wanted to show all the different levels or types of service versus just here's what it is, and here's the price. So I appreciate that feedback. It's going to be great to be able to take that to staff.
And on that equity piece, we've been working with the county for a while now, but the second step, once we get it going, will be to figure out the multifamily access as well. So we talked about events
Right.
and how else we can get that to everybody.
Yep.
And I just want to add on to what both Jason and Travis said, that it's not, Mayor, it's not just, the equity piece is huge, but it also will be regulated. So under the franchise, so it will be super transparent. You'll know where it's going and you'll get franchise fees.
Yep. All right. Appreciate that. And I appreciate your willingness to tailor it, if you will, for the cities. I know you're doing the unincorporated Washington County has the one model, but I've heard some criticism of that. So I know we can probably do better here in Tualatin.
Always do.
All right. Any other questions for the Republic staff? All right. Well, thank you for taking some time out of your evening, and thank you for the update.
We
Thanks so
appreciate
much.
you.
So much. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
You
Thank
too.
you very much.
And Mayor,
Yes.
so do we have guidance to come back with a resolution to adopt commercial organics rates for those business food scraps mandate customers?
I don't think we're divided. Just do a show of hands. Do we have guidance to provide to have that ordinance come forward here on I believe on the 23rd? Anyone opposed? All right. Go ahead, Councilor
I
Reyes.
kind of want to see first what the recycle plus or all that, the pricing and all that before. I mean, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but kind of want to see what that's going to look like so we can talk to our constituents about the new pricing, and if they add this and they add that, this is what's going to be like.
So Councilor Reyes, that would be two separate programs. So the Recycle Plus, we can come back, that's for residents. And then the commercial organics is just for those business food scraps customers that are required.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yes.
Yes, we're only asking staff to come back with a ordinance for a resolution for the commercial food scraps program, not for the other part.
Actually have a quick, thank you. I have a quick question about that. The commercial customers that are going to be paying this increased fee for the commercial organics, do they have a sense of the timing of this happening? And have they been working with Republic enough that they have a sense ballpark of what the cost will be to them? Because I'm just wondering if we need to do work with like the CCIO or anything, or is it way further down the road than that and they already kind of have a good understanding of the timing and the cost already for our commercial partners?
It's mostly pretty far down the road. Like KJ mentioned, the county has been responsible for all outreach and notification that the program is starting back up. So they received notification in March of this year, and the first tier has until March of next year to comply. So they have a whole year to kind of figure it out and get sorted and get started. And so customers who are already doing the organics, the rate would go into effect effectively in July. And then the customers that are still working on it have until next March to work on that and get that into their system. So, yeah.
Councilor Reyes.
And another question, sorry, might sound like a dumb question, but apartment complex, are they considered commercial or are they? Okay.
No. So it's just anyone who
So restaurants,
right, generates food waste at a certain volume. So Metro's come up with this calculation, says if it's 1,000 pounds of food waste per week and then 500 and 250. So there's a lot of smaller restaurants that won't even hit that qualification to be required, but they might voluntarily participate anyway.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? So is council okay with giving a direction to bring back this item on May 23rd? Seeing heads, nodding heads. All right, you got it, Lindsay.
Thank you.
All right. That brings us to general business. Item number 1, consideration of resolution number 5611-22, authorizing the signing of the WCCLS IGA and it's be led by our infamous library director, Jerry Ann Thompson. Welcome to
Infamous?
Infamous.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Give me just a second to pull up my presentation. It's good to be with you tonight. And as the mayor said, I'm here tonight to discuss with you an intergovernmental agreement with Washington County for library services. I'm going to provide some background on library services in Washington County, review the key roles filled by our library and WCCLS, and share the financial implications of authorizing approval of the new IGA. Tualatin is a member of the Washington County Cooperative Library Services, which is a partnership between the county, 9 cities, and 3 nonprofits. Through this mutually beneficial relationship, Tualatin's library patrons have access to a county-wide collection of more than 1.7 million items, including ebooks and streaming movies, as well as a variety of online resources. Throughout the cooperative, funding for public library operations primarily comes from the county, supplemented by local resources. WCCLS has a budget of $35 million. 60% of that budget comes from a transfer from the Washington County General Fund, and 40% comes from a 5-year local option levy. The levy was last passed in 2020 and will be before voters again in 2025. Governance of WCCLS is also a cooperative venture. The library directors from each library meet monthly to make policy decisions and plan library operations. We are an advisory body to WCCLS and to the executive board, which comprises the city managers and representatives from the nonprofit associations. The executive board provides recommendations regarding funding, service plans, and governance, and serves an advisory role to the County Board of Commissioners, which is the governing body for the cooperative. Over the past year, the library directors and the executive board have worked together to revise 2 intergovernmental agreements, merging them into one document. The 2 prior agreements were the Public Library Services Agreement and the Information Network Agreement. They expired in June 2021 and were extended by 1 year while this revision process was underway. The new agreement is the Public Library Network, Services, and Funding Intergovernmental Agreement. I'll talk more in a few minutes about the roles outlined in this agreement. It would be effective July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2026, in alignment with the local option levy cycle. There is also a separate governance agreement, the Intergovernmental Agreement for Washington County Cooperative Library Services. Try saying that 5 times fast. Signed in 2006, this agreement has no expiration date and there are no changes to it at this time. In addition to setting forth minimum operating requirements, the Public Library Network, Services, and Funding Intergovernmental Agreement outlines the central support services provided by WCCLS and the responsibility of WCCLS member libraries. Let's start with WCCLS's roles. They provide the integrated library system software that includes the database of library users and the database of the library collections, as well as daily courier delivery between the member libraries. These 2 services form the backbone of library materials access in Washington County. WCCLS is responsible for maintaining bibliographic records and authority records for the library catalog, which enable you to find the book or movie that you would like to check out. They also provide the online catalog interface for our users, a shared events calendar, online resources, and digital collections. Having these services provided at the county level is more efficient and cost-effective than each library being responsible for them. WCCLS facilitates interlibrary loan services and provides library mail services for individuals who are homebound. The IGA also outlines the duties and responsibilities of WCCLS for the network that connects our libraries. This includes providing hardware, software, and public internet access, including maintaining directory services to control access to the network and maintaining security of the network. One new role for the cooperative that's defined in this IGA will be to support compliance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act at member libraries. This will be done through provision of document translation and individualized interpretive services available upon request of the library patron, so non-English speakers can receive library services in their preferred language. The primary role served by each member library is to provide access to library materials, resources, and services to all eligible library users. This includes providing library cards that enable access at each WCCLS library. In other words, you can use your library card at any Washington County library to check out items. Another key role filled by our library is that we are responsible for creating item records to reflect our library's collection. Each item owned by a member library must be entered into the shared catalog to enable user access. Our information services staff coordinates with WCCLS regarding network and provided hardware and software, and they ensure that security requirements are met. We are also responsible for providing and maintaining some information technology equipment, software, and devices. The final aspect to the new IGA is distribution of funding to member libraries. All funds received from WCCLS must be spent on library operations. At Tualatin, nearly 3/4 of our revenue comes from WCCLS. This includes 45% from the Washington County General Fund transfer and 29% from the local option levy. According to the IGA, the distribution to Tualatin in the next fiscal year will be $1,839,634. This distribution is projected to increase 3% annually over the term of the agreement. This represents approximately $7,696,000 in funding over the next 4 years. The Public Library Network Services and Funding Intergovernmental Agreement is currently being considered by each local jurisdiction and will be back before the Board of Commissioners at their June 7th meeting. Included in the new IGA is WCCLS's commitment to a thoughtful reevaluation of the cooperative's funding and governance structures as we look ahead to the next levy cycle. This will be a multi-year process, including community and stakeholder engagement. By approving Resolution 5611-22, authorizing the city manager to sign the IGA, the city of Tualatin will continue to be a member of WCCLS. If not approved, our library would forego all financial and other benefits of WCCLS membership. Therefore, staff respectfully recommends approval of the resolution. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions for Jerianne? Council Pratt.
I just want to say you had me at library.
Thank you.
You got me at, we're not being able to fund all this by ourselves. We need the county on this one. Are there any questions for Jerianne? So we're okay with pursuing the agreement and continuing it. And I mean, back in my days, back on TLAC, Washington County's been a terrific, partner in this program. It's helped out a lot of libraries, and it helps our library, with dollars and circulation in addition to some of the money we get from Clackamas County. But we certainly could not run the library the way we do at the level of service without county funding. So I'm all on board with continuing the agreement.
I'll make a resolution to adopt number, 5611-22.
Yes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 5611-22. Any discussions on the motion? All right, I'll start off with Councilor Sacco.
Aye.
Councilor Hillier.
Aye.
Councilor Reyes.
Yes.
Council Pratt. Councilor
Aye.
Pratt. Council President Grimes.
Aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye also. I wish all our decisions were this easy. Thank you, Jerianne.
Thank you for your ongoing support. I appreciate it.
Oh, you've got it. We appreciate all the work you do and your staff does in the library. All right. That brings us up to item number 2, Council Committee on Advisory Appointments, the recommendations for our new Equity Committee Planning Group. Councilors Pratt and Reyes are on the committee. The CCAA and Councilors Sacco and Hillier are on the planning group. So who would like to lead the discussion on the 15 folks who are going to be appointed to the committee?
I'm going to describe a little bit about the committee, the Equity Committee, as described to the 15 individuals that were selected. Actually, we had a little over 30 people, which we want to thank every one of them for taking their time to interview with us and give their feedback and having interest to join this committee. This committee basically is our equity committee, and it's a pre-committee, which means that they will be the ones that would they will be empowered to write like the bylaws, the charter, the guidelines, or for what this committee would look like starting January 2023. So it's a commitment that they agreed upon to sit down, come up with ideas, talk about their experience and how we can create an equity committee that we can add into our council committee that we typically 3 or 4 of us are part of, the councilors are part of, and we select. So we're happy and proud to find these amazing people in our community, and trust me, it was really, really difficult. But we feel good about it, and I'm gonna let Councilor Pratt I'm gonna let her read the names of the 15 individuals. Congratulations, thank you very much, and we hope that those that weren't selected to look and keep checking our website for any volunteer opportunities. Thank you.
Yeah, the only thing I want to add is we really appreciate that we had such a big group of people to select from, and that it was the diversity was of, ages, everything you could think of. And we really tried, as we called it down, to keep to that. So we have all the perspectives we want for this group to plan the final committee. And so the names of the people, there are 15. The first one's Brian Ortiz, BJ Park, Valerie Holt, Glendora Claybrooks, Shane Skinner, Stacy Dolezal, Lucy Hong, Jennifer Eidson, Rio Espinoza, Mike Mata, Maria Nguyen, Rachel Greenow, Shannon Huggins, Sharon Knoll, and Isabella Raymond.
Have a motion to accept the recommendations.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and second to accept the recommendations from the Council Committee on Advisory Appointments. Any discussion on these motions? All right. Councilor Sacco.
Aye.
Councilor Hillier.
Aye.
Councilor Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Pratt.
Aye.
Council President Grimes.
Aye.
I vote aye also. I'm very eager to see this committee kick off. During the Aging Task Force meeting this afternoon, they were very excited this committee was launching, and they're also looking forward to a committee that represents all the different types of folks we have here in town. But thank you for that. That brings us to council communications. Any communications at this time? All quiet. With that, then do I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the city council meeting tonight.
All right.
Second.
I have a motion second for adjourning this evening's meeting. All those in favor, just raise your hands. It's unanimous. Thank you everyone for attending tonight. Have a nice night. This weather keeps flying back and forth between blue skies and pouring rain. So you never know what's going to be 10 minutes from now. We're definitely in Oregon. Have a terrific evening.